Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the vast expanse of human experience, uncovering the hidden threads that weave our past into the present. Today, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of a pivotal moment in American history, as we delve into the fascinating tale of the Proclamation of 1763. This landmark document, issued by King George III, would go on to shape the destiny of the New World, setting the stage for the tumultuous years that followed. As we begin our exploration, let us transport ourselves to the misty autumn of 1762, when the British Empire, fresh from its victory in the French and Indian War, was reeling from the enormous debt incurred during the conflict. The war had left the empire with a staggering debt of over £130 sterling million, which would take decades to pay off. To make matters worse, the British government was also facing growing discontent among its colonies, as the colonists began to chafe against the restrictive policies imposed upon them by their overlords. It was within this context that the seeds of the Proclamation of 1763 were sown. In the aftermath of the French and Indian War, the British government found itself faced with the daunting task of managing its newly acquired territories in North America. The war had resulted in the British gaining control of a vast swath of land west of the Appalachian Mountains, which was inhabited by numerous Native American tribes. However, this newfound territory also presented a significant challenge for the British, as they sought to balance their own interests with those of the Native Americans and the colonial settlers. In October 1763, King George III issued a royal proclamation, which would come to be known as the Proclamation of 1763. This document was the brainchild of the Board of Trade, a powerful committee responsible for overseeing British trade and commerce. The board had been tasked with finding a solution to the growing tensions between the colonial settlers and the Native American tribes, who were increasingly at odds over issues such as land ownership and territorial expansion. The Proclamation of 1763 established a boundary line running along the Appalachian Mountains, which marked the eastern edge of the Native American territories. This line was intended to separate colonial settlements from Native American lands, preventing further encroachment and violence. The proclamation also prohibited colonial governors from granting licenses for land surveys or settlements west of the Appalachian Mountains without special permission from the king. The key figures involved in the development of the Proclamation of 1763 included the Earl of Halifax, the President of the Board of Trade, and General Geoffrey Amherst, the Commander-in-Chief of British forces in North America. These individuals played a crucial role in shaping the policy that would eventually become the Proclamation of 1763. As we explore the earliest history of the Proclamation of 1763, it becomes clear that this document was not simply a reaction to the growing tensions between the colonial settlers and the Native American tribes. Rather, it was a deliberate attempt by the British government to assert its authority over the colonies and to impose order on the chaotic landscape of North America. The Proclamation of 1763 had significant implications for the future development of the colonies. By restricting westward expansion and limiting the ability of settlers to acquire new land, the proclamation effectively curtailed the growth of the colonial economy. This move was deeply unpopular among the colonists, who saw it as an attempt by the British government to strangle their economic aspirations. The stage is set for a drama that will unfold with all the complexity and intrigue of a Shakespearean tragedy. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the complex and fascinating tale of the Proclamation of 1763. Today, we find ourselves at the height of the proclamation's influence, as it shaped the destiny of the New World and set the stage for the tumultuous years that followed. As the British government sought to assert its authority over the colonies and impose order on the chaotic landscape of North America, the Proclamation of 1763 became a crucial tool in this endeavor. The document established a boundary line running along the Appalachian Mountains, separating colonial settlements from Native American lands and preventing further encroachment and violence. This move was deeply unpopular among the colonists, who saw it as an attempt by the British government to strangle their economic aspirations. One of the key figures involved in the implementation of the proclamation was Sir William Johnson, the Superintendent of Indian Affairs for the northern colonies. Johnson played a crucial role in negotiating with Native American tribes and ensuring that they understood the terms of the proclamation. He worked closely with the Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful alliance of 6 Native American nations, to establish a system of governance and trade that would respect the boundaries established by the proclamation. Despite these efforts, tensions between colonial settlers and Native American tribes continued to simmer. Many colonists resented the restrictions imposed upon them by the proclamation, and some began to secretly survey and settle lands west of the Appalachian Mountains. This led to a series of violent confrontations, including the famous incident in which a group of colonists, led by a young George Washington, clashed with a band of Native Americans in present-day Pennsylvania. The proclamation also had significant implications for the British military. General Geoffrey Amherst, the commander-in-chief of British forces in North America, was tasked with enforcing the terms of the proclamation and maintaining order along the frontier. However, Amherst's efforts were hindered by a lack of resources and manpower, as well as the vast distances involved in patrolling the boundary line. As we explore this pivotal moment in American history, it becomes clear that the Proclamation of 1763 was not simply a reaction to the growing tensions between colonial settlers and Native American tribes. Rather, it was a deliberate attempt by the British government to assert its authority over the colonies and shape the future development of the New World. The document's emphasis on respecting Native American lands and establishing clear boundaries marked a significant shift in British policy, one that would have far-reaching consequences for the indigenous peoples of North America. The proclamation also had significant economic implications. By restricting westward expansion and limiting the ability of settlers to acquire new land, the document effectively curtailed the growth of the colonial economy. This move was deeply unpopular among the colonists, who saw it as an attempt by the British government to strangle their economic aspirations. The resulting tensions would eventually contribute to the outbreak of the American Revolution, as colonists began to demand greater autonomy and self-governance. The stage is set for a drama that will unfold with all the complexity and intrigue of a Shakespearean tragedy. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we conclude our journey through the complex and fascinating tale of the Proclamation of 1763. As the years passed, the Proclamation of 1763 became increasingly ineffective in preventing westward expansion. Many colonists continued to secretly survey and settle lands beyond the Appalachian Mountains, leading to a series of violent confrontations with Native American tribes. The British government, struggling to maintain control over its vast territories, eventually repealed the proclamation in 1774, replacing it with the Quebec Act, which extended the boundaries of the province of Quebec and granted its governor greater authority over the region. Despite its eventual repeal, the Proclamation of 1763 had a lasting impact on American history. The document's emphasis on respecting Native American lands and establishing clear boundaries marked a significant shift in British policy, one that would have far-reaching consequences for the indigenous peoples of North America. However, this shift was short-lived, as the British government's subsequent actions, including the forced relocation of Native American tribes and the seizure of their lands, ultimately led to the devastation of many Native American communities. The proclamation also played a role in shaping the course of the American Revolution. The document's restrictions on westward expansion and its emphasis on British authority contributed to growing tensions between colonists and the British government, ultimately contributing to the outbreak of war in 1775. As the revolution unfolded, the proclamation became a rallying cry for patriots seeking to assert their rights and challenge British authority. In the centuries that followed, the Proclamation of 1763 remained an important symbol of the complex and often fraught relationship between European Americans and Native American communities. Today, many Native American tribes continue to struggle for recognition, self-governance, and protection of their lands, with some citing the proclamation as a historical precedent for their rights. As we reflect on the legacy of the Proclamation of 1763, it is clear that this document's influence extends far beyond its original purpose. The proclamation marked a pivotal moment in American history, one that highlighted the tensions and contradictions inherent in the colonial project. As Sir William Johnson, the superintendent of Indian affairs for the northern colonies, once noted, "The Indians are a people who must be treated with kindness, justice, and humanity, if we expect to maintain peace and friendship with them." These words, spoken over 2 centuries ago, remain a powerful reminder of the importance of respecting the rights and dignity of indigenous peoples. In conclusion, the Proclamation of 1763 was a landmark document that shaped the course of American history, from the Revolution to the present day. Its legacy serves as a reminder of the complex and often fraught relationship between European Americans and Native American communities, and highlights the ongoing struggles of Native American tribes to assert their rights and protect their lands. As we close this chapter on the Proclamation of 1763, we are reminded that history is a rich and nuanced tapestry, woven from the threads of human experience, and that the stories of the past continue to shape our understanding of the world today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the fascinating tale of the Proclamation of 1763. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.